Crime, Wine, and Chaos contains adult language and graphic content. Listener discretion is advised.
From the river to the sea, Chaos Kids. I'm Naomi.
I'm Amber, and this is Crime, Wine, and Chaos. From the river to the sea. Man.
Palestine will be free. I love you, sissy. How are you
I
today?
love you. Oh, thank you. I'm good. It's been a cray week, you know?
Has it? Like
kind of. Yeah, it's been cray with work. And, you know, I'm not a spring chicken. I still haven't bounced back yet from staying up too late on Sunday. And
that was 4 days ago.
That sounds about right. And Jade and I are going out tomorrow night for another birthday shindig.
Drag.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to the drag show.
We're going to the drag show. That's right. We're both going to wear sparkles.
Excellent.
So, you know, it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. How about you? What's new?
Oh, you know, I'm just gearing up for a whole lot of travel. You know, we got Sissy weekend coming, and then right after that, I'm gonna head off on an epic road trip. And so I'm jamming on the stories to try and be, you know, prepared so that we could get as much in the can as possible before I head out. And you know, I've got my new soft top coming and for the Jeep, and it was supposed to be delivered today, and now it's going to be delivered tomorrow, which is fine. And anyway, just all the things, just trying to get everything taken care of so that, you know, I mean, I'm not like leaving the country. I'm literally staying in the country. I'm driving around the country. So, you know, if I forget something or anything happens, like, it's not like, you know, I won't be able to take care of it, but, you know, just.
Sure. Yeah. I'm really excited for our Sissy trip.
Me too.
I'm really excited.
You guys, Amber is such a planner. She like texted.
Marissa started that thread today, for the record.
But Marissa's like, should we, you know, looking forward to it? Should we make a plan? And then Amber's like, yes, and we need to plan meals. And we're like, okay. And then Marissa always brings the coffee. She always brings the French press because she has this giant French press, and she brings the beans and she brings all the coffee stuff. And I think she might have said something about snacks. And then Amber was like, well, you know, should we each just take a day because, you know, dinner is usually more expensive than other meals, and we can each just take 3 meals, you know, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for, you know, to each day. And I'm like, do people eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks? Like, what are we even doing?
The shame that overcame me. You know what's funny about that too? So I had dinner with Allison last night, and she looks fucking amazing. And I'm like, what are you doing? And this is not for diet tips. I get so fatigued at like 1 minute the, you know, health stratosphere is telling us one thing, and the next day it's another. Anyway, she's been doing intermittent fasting, and she's like, yeah, I don't eat until noon. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Right. So I'm texting her today at like 12:01, and I'm like, I almost went into the light. Like, I almost fucking died. People do this. I mean, I'm up at 4, and at 8 o'clock, I'm looking at the clock. Like, is it almost time for me to eat something? Because I feel sick.
Well, sister, I mean,
I'm like, this is what people are doing.
There's also the version of it they call intuitive eating, which is you eat when you're hungry.
I do. And mine is like several times a day.
Well, that's fine then. That's fine. What?
Oh my God.
I'm like Marissa. Marissa's like, I eat brunch and I eat dinner, and like, I'm good. And like, that's me too. And like, sometimes I don't even do that. Like, I eat a snack at noon. I'll have like a granola bar like at noon. And like, once my coffee is like fully settled and I'm long past that, because I drink a bunch of coffee and then I'm not hungry for like hours. So I eat at like noonish. I'll have like a snack bar, and then maybe a couple hours later, I'll actually be hungry for like food, and I'll make myself like a plate of food of some kind and have like a meal, you know. But then at that point, like, I'm not doing like a dinner. I'll usually snack again, like maybe a couple more times before I go to bed. Like, I don't. And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. This will probably happen to you. Courtney and I had this conversation like months ago because we're both going through this. Suddenly, within the last this started for me when I was not feeling well, like over a year ago, when like my first round of hardcore perimenopausal symptoms hit me that winter, and I was like nauseous all the time, and I just wasn't eating very much, and I lost a bunch of weight. And since then, Like I don't feel like that most of the time anymore, but I just don't eat very much. And Courtney was like, remember, do you know how like old ladies will like put like a tiny little amount of food on their plate and then they'll pick at it like a bird and be like, oh, I'm all full now. And you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, what are you even doing? She's like, that's me now. And I'm like, me too. Like, that's totally me too. Like, I eat less now than I probably have ever eaten in my life. I just don't. I'm just not hungry.
I don't eat a lot. I eat tiny portions frequently.
That's
so
fine
like
too.
when we're out and about, like I'm always worried about like I'm going to be the only one that's hungry and then I'm going to make everybody stop for food and I keep like granola bars in my purse and stuff cuz I'm like I don't want to be that person that's like we need to stop for lunch.
I mean, sometimes I will do that. I very often will have like some kind of little easy to eat snack like in my bag if I'm out and about because but that's like all I need, like that'll keep me going for a while. I don't eat like a big plate of food hardly ever anymore.
Yeah, I know. It was just funny because it was like
meals and snacks, and I was like, that is so much food. There's no.
No, it was like, who eats 3 meals and snacks? And I was like, yeah, who? God, that sounded crazy. Sorry. Fuck. Anyway.
What about booze? You gonna bring booze? What are you drinking today?
Thank you for asking. I'm not drinking booze today. I've got a sparkling wild berry Celsius drink. I'm really vibing with these.
Oh, is this like a White Claw situation?
No, it's non-alcoholic. It's accelerated metabolism, burns body fat energy booster. It's like 10 calories.
Are things that are like smaller in volume than Red Bull, but have like twice as much caffeine in them.
No, they don't. Do they? I've never checked the caffeine content.
I think they have a lot of caffeine in them.
Ooh, well, shit's about to get wild. Well, that's what I'm drinking.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Do you have a crime for me today?
I do. This one's a fucking bummer.
I mean, I expected so.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to tell you about the murder of Brittney Gregory.
Okay.
So we are going to Brick Township, New Jersey in 2004. I like when things are called township. It's a pretty large township on the Jersey Shore.
All right.
So Brittney was 16 years old and attended Brick Memorial High School. She was the youngest of 5 siblings. That's a lot. She was extremely intelligent and got good grades, and she wanted to become a forensic scientist. Her science teacher said she was one of the brightest and kindest students he ever had. Her science teacher was interviewed on this episode of Deadline Crime with Tamron Hall that I was watching, and he's such a pumpkin. Oh. He just, like, she was his favorite student, like, of all time. And he's, like, much older, like, he's been teaching forever,
Yeah.
And it was just so sweet. Yeah. In the summer of 2004, it was the end of her sophomore year, and she was spending the summer along the Jersey Shore, but going to the beach, doing her thing before her junior year. And on Sunday, July 11th, Brittney was trying to find a ride to her boyfriend's house. But by Monday afternoon, July 12th, nobody had heard from Brittney for nearly 24 hours.
July 12th.
It's your birthday.
Do we keep landing on July 12th?
I don't know, but I don't like that bad juju is surrounding your birthday, sister.
I mean, that tracks.
God. So Brittney lived with her dad and her sister, and the family home was where she was last seen. So on that Monday, her sister Brianna went into the Brick Township PD around 4 p.m. and reported her missing. She says that she last heard from Brittney around 8 o'clock the night before when Brittney called her asking for a ride to her boyfriend's house. And Brianna told her that she would be home in about an hour. But Brianna, I don't know if she was at a friend's house or at her boyfriend's house, but wherever she was, she accidentally fell asleep and didn't wake up until the following morning.
Oh.
I know. And when she got home, Brittney wasn't there. Yeah, man. Brianna is 20 years old. And so she also noticed that Brittney's bed was still made and it didn't look like she had stayed in the house the previous night.
So This was Sunday going into Monday. So Sunday was when Brittney was trying to get a ride to her boyfriend's house. She got a hold of Brianna. Brianna was like, I'll be home in an hour, fell asleep Sunday night. And then it was Monday when she finally woke up and came home and realized that Brittney wasn't there. It looked like she hadn't been there.
Right.
And couldn't be found.
Correct.
And this is 2004. So I'm wondering, like, does Brittney have a cell phone?
She does. Yep. So Brianna calls all of Brittney's friends. They're looking for her. Nobody can seem to get a hold of her. Nobody's heard from her. She describes Brittney as very responsible. She's a straight A student. She would never run away, right? So police canvass the neighborhood. They go door to door asking the neighbors if anyone had seen her, but nobody had. When they search Brittney's room, they see that all of her belongings have been left behind, including her phone and makeup bag, which they think would be something that any teenage girl would likely take with them if they were going.
Right.
Well, the phone if they were going anywhere, the makeup if they were going somewhere overnight, right?
Right.
Brianna does say that the day before she got a call from Brittney, so on that Saturday, and Brittney was really upset. She was at her boyfriend's house. They had gotten into a fight, right? And she was just kind of calling her sister to tell her all about it. So Brittney had been dating 18-year-old John Fitzgerald for a year and a half. And Brittney's family had nothing but nice things to say about John. They said that Brittney and John were a typical teenage couple, and sometimes they fought. So apparently that night before, they were in a fight and they broke up. You know, break up, get back together. Because John was talking to another girl.
Okay.
Right. So then on Sunday at around 11 a.m., Brittney called John. So she hadn't talked to him since the fight. She called him and he was at the beach. And this pissed her off. So she hung up on him.
At the beach having a good time after they broke up. He should be at home, heartbroken, crying on his pillow, waiting for her call.
Right. Or like, why hasn't he called me yet?
Right.
Fine. I'll finally bite the bullet and call him. And then what the fuck?
With the boys at the beach.
He's just vibing. Yeah. So this is when she's really pissed off. He's at the beach. And this is when she is calling everyone she knows on Sunday, trying to get a ride to John's house.
Wait,
so that
he's at the beach and she wants to go to his house.
Yeah. I don't know what she said to him, if she was like, get your ass home or I'm coming over or whatever. We need to resolve this issue. But she is like, I need to get over to John's house.
Okay.
Because she's mad.
Yep.
So John was one of the people that Brianna had called when she was looking for Brittney. And he told her that he hadn't spoken to her since that morning when he was at the beach and she was pissed and she hung up on him. So detectives reach out to John and ask him to come into the station. And when they ask him about, where Brittney could be, he was genuinely shocked and said that he didn't actually realize that she was like missing. Like he didn't realize there was like a concern, like she's fucking missing. Mm-hmm.
He didn't know the police were involved.
No, it's like, it'd be like that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, no, you mean she's missing.
Yes. He said the last time he saw her in person was on July 10th when they got in that fight and, all the things. So he also shows detectives a letter that Brittney had given him in the days prior to that in an attempt to like make amends. It sounded like they were fighting off and on all week.
Right.
So Brittney makes some indications in this letter that she's considering harming herself. So they're kind of concerned about that. And according to John, the fight started when he believed that she had kissed another guy. So in retaliation, he kissed another girl. It's all very...
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, we've all been there, right?
Yep.
We've all... Mm-hmm. Anyway, so all that happened. So the police have no reason to hold John, but he does agree to return at a later date for a polygraph test.
For the magic voodoo...
Correct. To drink the truth serum, go under hypnosis.
And hold the cans. Got it.
Right. They're going to have a seance. They're going to summons Brittney. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he also tells police that if Brittney decided to walk to his house, she would have taken the shortcut through a really densely wooded area called the Sawmill Track. The wooded entrance is right near Brittney's house. So police and searchers enter there and they look and they spend 3 days searching the woods and find nothing. So Brianna and Brittany's other sister, Bobby Joe, they make missing persons flyers and put them all over Brick Township. And the police did get several calls after the flyers went out, but all of it was dead ends.
Mm-hmm.
So detectives go back and interview Brittany's friends again, hoping that maybe they've heard something new. And they learn from her friends new information about her home life. So her father has a long history of drug abuse, and there were like regularly unsavory people in and out of the family home.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. So police want to know all the people that would come and go in that house. So they interview her family members, including her father, Joe Dunn. And Joe doesn't give any useful information. You know, he sucks. But her sister, Bobby Joe, provides the name of her ex-boyfriend, Tony. Bobby Joe says that when they were still dating, Tony was a little too friendly with Brittany. Which is gross.
Gross.
And this would lead to arguments between Bobby Joe and Tony, which I think is ultimately why they broke up. So Bobby Joe gives the police a description of his car, and it's the same car that a few neighbors had described as being seen in the neighborhood at the time of Brittany's disappearance. So Tony is living just 6 miles from Brittany's house with his new girlfriend, and the police pay him a visit. And when he realizes that he's being looked at as a suspect, he immediately gets defensive, and he says that he was with his girlfriend all night on the night of Brittany's disappearance, and his girlfriend confirms his alibi. Of course, I think what else is she going to do? And they don't have anything to hold him on, so all they can do is, you know, put him on
a watch list.
Put him on watch list, yep, until they get more evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So the following Friday, July 16th, Brittany's boyfriend is due at the station for his polygraph exam, and he shows up. He maintains the same story that he already told police, and it came back as him being truthful.
Okay.
Yeah. Then they get a call from an informant. And this person says that a man who he buys stolen goods from told him that he hurt his back from digging in the sand. This is weird. When he asked him why you were digging in the sand, this guy said, "Oh, because I killed a girl and had to bury her."
In the sand?
Well, we're on the Jersey Shore, you know.
Okay. Is it Tony that he buys stolen goods from?
No. The person that this informant was speaking of was 38-year-old Jack Fuller.
Okay.
Jack Fuller was well known by the police department. He had spent most of his life in and out of jail, and he started committing crimes as a kid. And he is also a known associate of Brittany's father.
Oh.
Yeah. So the informant tells police that he's supposed to meet up with Jack Fuller, and the informant agrees to help the police to try and get more information. So they set up surveillance at the planned meeting spot, and they put a wire on this guy. And they played the audio in this thing that I was watching, and it just... I would be so scared to be wired up and be doing this.
For sure.
Fuck. Because they aren't just, like, the way the conversation went, it didn't sound like he's just some dude that he buys shit from. It sounds like they're fucking besties.
Oh.
Like, Jack gives him a hug, and he's like, "Hey, bro, what's up? What's good?" Blah. You know, all the things. Yeah. So they meet up in this parking lot. The police are nearby listening. He doesn't reveal where he buried Brittany, but he does say that he needs to kill someone named Tommy because Tommy was someone who knew exactly what he had done.
Who the fuck is Tommy?
Well, my next line literally is, the police don't know who Tommy is, but he in danger, girl. Tommy in danger. God.
Somebody protect Tommy at all costs.
Get to Tommy. This guy is like just telling, I don't even know. I guess, you know, when that's the company you keep, you think it's just totally fine to be like, "Yeah, I killed someone. Cool, cool, cool. Do you have that hot stereo?" Like, what? What are we doing?
Right?
It's weird. Yeah, it was a very casual conversation. Oh, like, "Yeah, you know how it is." And then Foreman did a good job. He's like, "No shit, man. I hear you, bro."
Oh my God. I can't.
I mean, good acting on his part, you know?
You know what? Send that guy to Hollywood.
Sure. So the police learn that Tommy is Tommy Long. He's also well known to the police and had a lengthy criminal history. And they know right away that they need to get to Tommy before Jack does.
Mm-hmm.
So they look up his last known address and send surveillance to that area. But when they get there, Jack is already there.
Oh, Jack is fast.
Fuck. Yeah.
Jack, be quick.
Jack jumped over a candlestick.
Sorry.
I don't think he's nimble, though, if he threw his back out digging sand. No. So they get there. Jack's there. They see Jack walking towards his car with a gas can. So they're scared that Tommy is like in the trunk and that Jack's going to light the car on fire, right?
Right.
So they jump out of their cars. They make their presence known. They arrest him. They charge him with the murder of Brittney Gregory, take him into custody. Tommy's not in the trunk.
Oh, good.
No further explanation as to what was going on there, right?
Okay.
But who knows? They seize the vehicle, send it to forensics, and they do find Tommy at home, and they bring him down to the police department. And they learn that Jack is a childhood friend of Tommy's, and the two grew up together. So Tommy refuses to say anything bad about his bestie, Jack.
Didn't they tell him that his bestie was about to do something to him?
Well, here we go. So police play Tommy the surveillance where Jack is talking about killing him. And when he hears this, he starts talking. I mean, Jack sucks.
Oh my God. Tommy.
Tommy was like, I ain't going to rat him out. I'm like, Jack was on his way to kill you. God.
Oh my God.
So here's what Tommy tells them. The night Brittney disappeared, the two were together in Jack's car, just vibing. And they stopped by to see Brittney's dad. Jack went inside. Tommy stayed in the car. A few minutes later, Jack came out of the house with Brittney, and Brittney got in the back seat. Then Jack tells Tommy that he's going to take him home first. So Jack dropped Tommy off at home and drove away with Brittney. He said he doesn't know what happened after that.
And Brittney probably saw him show up with a car and was like, hey, man, can you give me a ride somewhere?
Exactly. I need a ride.
Told her that she could get a ride.
Yep. That's exactly right. So meanwhile, in custody, Jack refuses to talk. And when officers play the surveillance tape for him, he just says that he wants a lawyer.
I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm. They inform Brittney's family that Jack is in custody and has been charged with her murder. And Brittney's father says that while the search was still going on, Jack was there helping with the search and even coming up to him and giving him a hug and like, man, I'm so sorry this is happening to you.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Yep. After the news goes out that Jack's in custody, they get a call from a woman claiming to have knowledge of Jack Fuller. She was living in Pennsylvania and she saw Jack Fuller's mugshot on the news. So she comes forward and she said that from October to November of 2003, she was held hostage by him. She said that she was lured into his home with the promise of free drugs and then didn't let her leave.
Holy shit.
Uh-huh. And she said she thought she might know where he buried Brittney because while she was being held hostage, he would regularly go to this particular spot to get high. And one of the times they were there, he said to her, this would be a perfect place to bury a body.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the area she described was off of Ridge Road in Lakewood, New Jersey. And it's not the beach, but like the dirt was like sand because, you know, that's common.
Yeah.
In, like beach town, it's just like that everywhere. And it's an area where people would like take their quads and dirt bikes. It's about 10 minutes from Brittney's house.
Mm-hmm. So
they do a massive search. They have neighboring law enforcement canines. And 8 days after searching, they find her. This is so sad. She was barely covered with her arm sticking out and she was wearing a gold necklace that said Brittney. I know. They end up positively matching blood in Jack Fuller's car with Brittney, and Jack ended up telling them that he was smoking crack while Brittney was in the car and she got upset and this pissed him off. So he beat her to death.
Liar.
Mm-hmm. Yep. On October 18th, 2005, he pled guilty to first-degree murder and was sentenced to 30 years without the possibility of parole. It's just, first off, her dad with these fucking people and then her needing a ride. I don't know. And when you grow up with unsavory people like that, you just get used to it. Like,
Yeah,
I'm sure
totally.
like she didn't feel...
No, she knew him. He'd been coming around. He was just one of the dudes that her dad bought drugs from or got
like,
high with
yeah,
or
like you
whatever.
could know that someone sucks, but not necessarily just distrust them. Like, yeah, you're a creep,
Right.
but I'll take a ride, whatever.
Right.
I had a friend's dad who was that way, just like, you're real skeezy, but yeah, I'll take a ride.
I know, but now you wouldn't now knowing what you know now.
Sure, but you just get comfortable with your circumstances, even when they're not good circumstances.
That's true. That's true. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
I know. Mhm.
that fucking was a bummer, sister.
No, I'm sorry. She would have been safer walking through the woods in the dark.
She would have been safer walking through the woods. It's the one time we were going to say, like, you should have just taken that shortcut through the woods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, how about some non-palate cleansing chaos?
I was going to ask if it was a palate cleanser, so that's a hard no.
Nope.
Great. Cool. Love it.
I'm going to tell you about the Jamison family.
Okay.
This is one of those cases that I heard about, I don't know how many years ago now, and it's always bugged me.
Mm-hmm.
So it is Bobby Dale Jamison. He's 44. His wife, Sherilyn, who is 40, and their 6-year-old daughter, Madison. They lived in Eufaula, Oklahoma in October of 2009. Sherilyn had another child, Colton, from a previous marriage, who had chosen during a custody hearing a few months earlier in July to go live with his dad.
Mm.
Colton told the court that his mom seemed very depressed and she often acted strangely. So he wanted to go live with his dad. In September, Sherilyn would be hospitalized for a suicide attempt.
Oh.
Both Bobby and Sherilyn were unemployed and on disability. In 2003, Bobby had been in a car accident that left his back permanently injured, and he lived with like a lot of chronic pain. And Sherilyn had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, but it was not well controlled due to the fact that she was not always compliant with her medication, and she often suffered bouts of severe depression. And her depression had really started when her sister died of a freak bee sting incident.
What? A freak beast? God.
Maybe she didn't know she was allergic?
I hope it was just that and not like a swarm.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not 100% certain about that.
Okay.
Friends and family said that Bobby and Sherilyn's marriage wasn't doing great, and they mostly kept to themselves. They reportedly had a high standard of living, although many thought that they were living beyond their means. Their home in Eufaula was lakeside, and they also had several timeshares in the U.S. and in Mexico.
Are either of them working, though?
Nope.
Okay.
Bobby and Sherilyn were extremely religious, some said to the point of paranoia, because they were also convinced that their house was haunted. They even went so far as to contact a local pastor about the belief that dark entities had invaded their home and they likely needed an exorcism.
Oh, no.
Apparently, Madison had started talking to an imaginary friend named Emily, and Sherilyn was positive that Emily was an evil spirit.
This is the child they share together. I mean, lots
Bobby
of
even
have
I
imaginary
know.
friends. Okay.
I mean, do they?
I mean,
I always wondered about
creepy
that.
one. I am your daughter, mommy. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, Bobby even asked the pastor if he knew of anywhere he could purchase special bullets because he wanted to shoot some spirits that were living on the roof of the house.
Oh, Bobby. No.
And I'm not sure if it was Bobby or Sherilyn, but one of them bought a copy of the Satanic Bible to use it to perform an exorcism on the house themselves. Sherilyn had a friend that would come over and do seances with Sherilyn. She didn't really believe in it as much as Sherilyn did, but she would still participate. And Sherilyn and Bobby had a shipping container on their property that Sherilyn had spray painted messages or graffiti or whatever on because she was convinced that her neighbors were poisoning her cats, her black cats. And she told her friend, quote, "Witches don't like their cats being killed."
Mm-hmm.
Friends and family did agree with Bobby and Sherilyn that their house was haunted. Some of them claimed that they had also experienced weird shit in the house. And Sherilyn's best friend, Nikki, said, quote, "That house was haunted. I don't want to sound crazy, but whenever I went there, I felt a horrible presence. I would leave feeling so down and depressed."
Oh, I don't like that. That's spooky.
Totally.
Okay.
So it was that October 2009 that Bobby and Sherilyn decided they wanted to move out of Eufaula for a quieter life, despite the fact that Eufaula is a very small town with a population of like 3,000 people at that time.
Mm-hmm.
The couple had found a 40-acre plot of land for sale about 50 miles away in the Red Oak, Oklahoma area in Latimer County. This property was in the Sandboys Mountains. Their plan was to live in the shipping container they had on their current property.
Just plop the shipping container on the 40 acres and live in it.
I mean, maybe they were going to do some modification to it. People use shipping containers to build housing.
Okay. All right.
I mean, that's one of those like reduce, reuse, recycle, like creative, less expensive ways that people are doing housing now. There's old shipping containers.
Oh, yeah. Tiddlywinks, they lived in a shipping container that they had modified. Yeah.
So it was October 9th that the three of them, Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madison, were seen the last time.
Mm.
It is believed that it was that day that the family set out to go look at the property that they were interested in purchasing. And supposedly they did not want the real estate agent that was showing the property to go with them for no reason that anyone can explain.
Okay.
But because Bobby and Sherilyn were so private and reclusive most of the time, no one noticed when they didn't return.
Yeah, and they don't have jobs that they're going to. Is their little one in school? Is she school age?
No, that comes up later, but no. So it would be over a week later, October 17th, when their truck was discovered abandoned by some hunters on dirt bikes.
Wow.
Their dog, Macy, was inside the truck, weak and severely hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
The hunters contacted authorities who initially thought the truck had been there for only a few hours, but later that day, one of the hunters called back to tell police that he had seen it there abandoned for several days.
Wow. Okay.
And this is when a search began for Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madison.
And I'm sorry, where is this truck in relationship to the property they're supposed to be looking at?
Not far.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is much closer to the property than to their actual house.
Okay.
Besides the dog, what they also found on the truck was all of their coats, their cell phones, some maps, a GPS system, Sherilyn's purse, both their wallets, and around $32,000 cash stuffed underneath the driver's seat.
Weird.
There was also an 11-page long letter written by Sherilyn where she criticized Bobby for being a hermit, not taking good enough care of his family. She listed all the things she hated about Bobby and said she didn't care about his daughter and that she wanted a divorce.
Oh, what the fuck? Okay.
The truck itself had gas in it, was in good working order, and had no evidence of having been in an accident. And there was no evidence in or around the truck to suggest any kind of struggle had taken place. So the police search was really extensive. It included over 400 volunteers, 16 teams of cadaver dogs, people on horseback, people on mules, drones, helicopters, ATVs, the whole nine.
People on mules? Sorry, that wasn't the point of that, but I'm just interesting. All right, that's a thing.
Mules are often used on trails.
Fuck.
For trail riding or whatever.
That's cool.
But rocky terrain and some steep cliff sides were difficult for searchers to navigate, and it was all further complicated by wet and muddy conditions very early on into the search.
Mm-hmm.
And they found nothing.
Wow.
Some of the dogs hit near a water tower, which was drained, but nothing was found.
And it's October, right? So it's cold.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like 40 degrees overnight
Oh, no.
the day that they left.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it probably only getting colder right?
Mm-hmm.
The last few pictures on Bobby's cell phone were of Madison sitting in front of a large rock, and they are definitely like in the woods. In one photo, she's holding Maisie. And when police checked the cell phone records for Bobby's phone, they found a call to voicemail on the 12th when the phone would have been locked up in the truck.
Oh, like after they had already been, the truck had been seen there.
Well,
parked.
the truck was reported on the 17th,
Mm.
but the hunters had seen it in previous days, which is probably why they ended up reporting it eventually.
Yeah.
Because
So
they
a
saw it
call,
sitting there for days.
like he was checking his own voicemail.
Yeah, but that was on the 12th. They left their house on the 9th.
That's odd. Okay.
And this was stuff that was found in the truck, locked up in the truck.
Yeah.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
One witness said that there were fresh tire tracks leading away from the truck, making him believe that the family maybe got into another vehicle. However, another witness and the last known person to see the family said that he never saw the family come back down the mountain, and he didn't see anyone else drive up or down it. His house was in that area about a quarter mile from where the truck was found, so it's pretty likely he would have been aware if anyone else was coming or going from that area.
Yeah.
And as authorities investigated further, they found that there had been some family friends staying with Bobby and Sherilyn who had become problematic, and Sherilyn had actually drawn a firearm and shot it at the floor in their house in order to make this guy leave.
Oh,
But
fuck.
the cops cleared him of having anything to do with this disappearance.
Okay.
Police also discovered a bunch of other strife surrounding Bobby and Sherilyn. They had some troubles with the Eufaula School District. They had pulled Madison out of kindergarten and were planning on suing the school district. What they were suing about is unclear, but Madison had been removed from classes, which is why the school didn't alert anyone that she was missing.
God, this poor kid. Okay.
Bobby had also filed a lawsuit against his parents in 2009, claiming that his father had tricked him into working for free. Supposedly, the deal that Bobby made with his dad was that he would get a half stake in the business at some point in the future. There were also some claims made by Bobby that his dad had threatened to kill him and his family on several occasions.
God.
Investigators looked into both lawsuits and claims to see if there was any connection to their disappearance, but they couldn't find any links. And anyway, Bobby's dad was in a nursing home when the family vanished, so investigators ruled him out rather early, and he passed away only a few months after the family went missing.
Also, like, this sounds like some serious paranoia. Like, when you have a problem with your dad, you have a problem with your roommate, you have a problem with the school, you know what I mean? It's like,
Common denominator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some rumors were going around that both Bobby and Sherilyn were meth users. So investigators looked into the drug angle. Surveillance footage recorded at their house on the day they disappeared was very odd. They were loading up their truck in what appeared to be a trance-like state, walking back and forth from the house to the truck like 20 times, sometimes carrying nothing out with them, sometimes stopping and standing with vacant stares on their faces.
Oh,
this
God.
led some to believe that they were on some sort of substance on the day they disappeared.
That just gave me the chills.
It's weird. But investigators didn't find any evidence that they were either buying or selling drugs, even after searching the truck and the family home. There was like no evidence of drug use. And if they were like meth users, they would have found shit.
Mm-hmm.
Meth users don't like, you know what I mean? They would have found a glass pipe. They would have found lighters. They would have, you know what I mean?
For
They would
sure.
have found shit.
Also, they weren't
Empty
moving at
bags.
this time. They were just going to look at the property. So what would
That's
they
right.
have even been loading the truck up with?
I don't know. It should be noted that Sherilyn is seen in that footage of them loading the truck, putting a brown briefcase into the truck, which was not found in the truck or anywhere else since. Also, Colton was interviewed by police, and he said that he had seen his mom about 2 weeks prior to them going missing, and she had said nothing to him about their decision to move 50 miles away.
Weird. Did he have any insight as to what that? I mean, he could probably speak to whether or not they're drug users or whether or not they've completely gone unhinged in their mental health, you know.
That's the extent. What I've told you about Colton is the extent of what I know about what Colton knows.
Yeah. Colton had good instincts to live elsewhere, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then nothing. None of them were found, and no leads went anywhere to any suspects that stuck or any locations beyond around the truck for them to search. It just went cold.
What? Mm-mm.
Then 4 years later, on November 16th, 2013, just under 3 miles from where the truck was originally found abandoned, deer hunters stumbled upon the skeletal remains of 2 adults and 1 child.
What?
They were in the Smokestack Hollow area of Panola Mountain. The location was extremely remote, and the 3 bodies were severely decomposed. The remains consisted of 3 skulls, several bones and bone fragments, the victims' shoes, and some scraps of clothing.
What in the world?
It would be 8 months later that forensic testing would confirm the remains were of Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madison. It was also deemed, I'm sorry.
No, this is like the Yuba County 5.
Yeah.
Okay, go on. I'll ask
Your
questions.
brain is like misfiring right now. You're like,
I don't like it. Yeah, I'm malfunctioning. Keep going.
Now you know why this
I hate
story is like stuck with me. It was also deemed impossible to determine the cause of death due to the severe decomposition, and the police had no real good reason to explain how their bodies had not been found during the initial search, as they were found not that far from the truck, and that area had presumably been searched.
Mm-hmm.
I think one sheriff or something said something like, well, they might have been covered in leaves. And I'm like, after being missing for like a week?
Yeah.
They were already covered in leaves?
My first thought was that you said it was like a pretty vast area, right?
What, that they covered?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My first thought was that they were in that area when the search was going on and walking around lost.
Maybe.
I don't know.
One of Bobby's skull fragments had a small hole in it that may have been a bullet hole, but police decided it was not actually from a bullet. Although the hunters who had discovered the remains disagreed. They thought it was absolutely a bullet hole. Obviously, the discovery of the remains of the Jamisons rebooted the investigation, and there were lots of possibilities that the police explored. None of them came to any definitive answers, though.
God.
Sherilyn's mom believed they had somehow been caught up in a cult and were murdered by cult members, but she never named any specific cult, and there was no evidence anywhere to support this theory.
Okay.
There was the possibility that this was a murder-suicide. Considering Sherilyn's letter, it's possible Bobby took Sherilyn and Madison out into the woods and killed them and himself, or Sherilyn did. She did own a .22 caliber handgun, but there was no gunshot evidence in her skull or Madison's, and the weapon has never been found. So the police don't have enough proof that this is what happened.
Right.
Some think maybe they got lost in the woods and died of hypothermia, but the bodies were all found in a row face down, which suggests an execution.
In a row face down.
And Bobby's back was so bad that it would have seemed pretty unlikely that he would want to go gallivanting in the woods for a hike. Not only that, they were not that far from where the truck was found, and the truck itself was parked in such a way that it looked like they were leaving and were stopped by somebody.
Okay.
Some people think it was a drug deal gone bad. There's a lot of meth around that area of Oklahoma and meth labs, and Bobby had recently reported someone near there for running a meth lab. It's possible they ran into someone and saw something they shouldn't have, but then why didn't the truck get ransacked? There was over 30 grand just left in that truck. And like I said, there was no evidence in the truck or their home that Bobby or Sherilyn were drug users or buyers or sellers at all.
Was there any information on who this realtor was and why they didn't want the realtor there?
No.
Because it kind of vaguely reminds me of this case where a person was putting out a Craigslist ad for somebody to be like a ranch hand and to live on this property for free.
I know that one. I remember that story.
And so I was like, okay, well, who's this realtor? And did they intercept them? Like, was it a setup for something or I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, they said realtor, not like Craigslist ad, you know?
Yeah, I just think it's weird that they wouldn't want them there. Like maybe they had a weird vibe. I don't know.
Or maybe they're just paranoid and they don't want to talk to anybody.
That's true. That's true too.
That guy that Sherilyn shot the gun towards to make him leave that had been staying with them, it was because once he found out she was part Native American, his white supremacy was revealed, which is why she made him go. And while that guy was ruled out, it is possible she ended up on a list for some other local fucking racist pieces of shit who took her and Bobby and Madison out.
No shit.
But then, like, did they follow them out there to do it? You know?
Why are they in a trance-like state with making multiple trips to their car unnecessarily from the house?
Right.
That's spooky.
Family members believe that those photos of Madison are suspect, that she looks unhappy and possibly scared. The cops don't agree, but some of the family thinks that some fucking pedophile or pedophiles kidnapped all of them to get to Madison and that it was one of them that took those pictures, not Bobby. But again, his phone was found in the truck, which means they went and put his phone back in the truck after they did that and then didn't ransack the truck and take that money.
And did you say the money was visible?
It was under the driver's seat.
Okay. I mean, it could have been missed, but also and they checked his voicemail?
Right? 3 days later?
Then
there's the witchcraft/possession theory that this all had something to do with the evil spirits in their house and Sherilyn's supposed magic practice. And there was a wrecked car down the road near where the truck was found that is regularly used as target practice. And it has satanic symbols and messages written on it. And so
sure.
This was, there's a little possible satanic panic moment that could have been the thing. So that's it. That's the mystery of the Jamison family.
Okay. First off, I'm upset. Second off,
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. The family going back and forth to the truck, did that include the daughter or just the parents?
I think it was just Sherilyn and Bobby.
Okay.
I mean, this could have been a situation of folie à deux. This could be folie à deux.
That was what I was thinking of too. But
how did they die? Okay, these are the little details that matter. If it were folie à deux, and let's say it was a murder-suicide, why would the person doing the murdering not shoot the other two in the head? Right? And where's the gun? Because if they they killed the other two and then shot themselves, say it was Bobby. He killed Sherilyn and Madison. Maybe he strangled them. I don't know. Then he shot himself in the head. The gun should be there next to their bodies. Because an animal is not going to run off with the gun. The reason why they only found some bones and not all the bones is because clearly they were animals got to their bodies. They were out there for 4 years. So that's inevitable. But where's the gun?
I also don't know that you would be able to position yourself face down in a row when you're shooting yourself.
Right.
Wow. I hate that so much.
It's crazy, right? The whole thing is fucking crazy.
Well, because the reason I was asking if the child was on the Ring camera or whatever it was, is that it almost reminded me, in the movie Speed, where everyone's told to act some kind of way because they're being recorded so that it can be played on a loop. Everyone just looks straight ahead.
Yeah.
I was I just had a moment of maybe for some reason in their paranoia, they knew they were being watched. And so everyone was intentionally told to look straight ahead. Don't make any movements. Don't make any facial expressions. I don't know. I don't know why or what that would mean. But I was just wondering if the little girl was also in a trance-like state. But no, I don't know. That is fucking weird, and I hate it. I hate it.
I mean, it's possible that at the end of the day, it was evil spirits that did all of it.
It's spooky.
I know. That's what I know. It's a spooky story.
I don't like it.
And we'll never know what happened to them unless some rando shows up and confesses or something.
I hate it. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Oh, The chills.
Spooky. I
Spooky
know.
sister.
I know.
Oh man.
It's just it's always so weird when there's so much detail and no answers.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, someone knows something.
Maybe.
Or maybe not.
Maybe
Sasquatch got him.
Sasquatch would not do that.
Oh, sorry.
Don't besmirch the good name of Sasquatch.
Okay, I'm really sorry. God, sorry.
Okay. Oh wait, better. That's better.
Okay.
Maybe a skinwalker though. Oh, I said the word. Fuck. Chaos Kids, I'm so sorry. If I disappear, you know what happened.
Mm-hmm. Don't answer.
Also,
your
I've
door.
been like, I follow some accounts on TikTok that like, do like spooky things. Like they show spooky video footage and things like that. And a lot of like Appalachia spook comes up on there.
I bet. Oof.
Like, okay, for the record, you guys, if you hear somebody call your name in your house or anywhere else where you know you are alone, do not respond, do not acknowledge, do not go near it, do not walk towards it. You need to ignore the shit out of that and get the fuck out of there.
I've woken up to that, only it's like not in this house, but in the past. And it's like someone's yelling my name, but they're far away.
Oh, at the house in Juanita?
Yeah, many, many times.
Because that house was haunted.
For sure. Okay, can I tell you a really quick spooky story? Are you still listening to Radio Rental?
I haven't listened to it in a while. I think I got caught up on it, and so then I had to go do something else.
Okay.
I have.
Well, if you're going to revisit it, I won't tell you. But this one,
No, go ahead.
It disturbed me, and it sort of reminds me of this. Okay, I'll sum it up. I'll be quick.
Okay.
This guy is in college. He's working the front desk at a hotel for like the graveyard shift. Like that's his jam, right?
I already hate it.
Yep. And so it sounds like a nicer hotel where there's like the automatic sliding open doors, like at a grocery store. So he hears the automatic sliding doors and he's like kind of hunched down watching something on Netflix. He pokes his head up. There's nobody there. But then a second later, the elevator dings and the doors open. God. The doors open and then they close and then the elevator goes up. And he watches on the surveillance and it opens up on the 4th floor and nobody comes out. And then it closes and that's it, right? And he's like, okay, well, that was fucking weird and spooky. Then a few minutes later, he glances at the security thing again, and he sees all this water on floor 4. And he's like, what the fuck? And the ice machine is also up there, and the water's like kind of dirty, almost like a pipe broke or something. So he goes up there with the mop, mops it all up, comes back down, goes back to watching his Netflix. A couple hours later, looks at the security camera again. The floor is covered. He said like gallons of water again on floor 4. Goes up, mops it all up, kind of half-assed, leaves the mop out, whatever. He's like, fuck it, goes back to work. Okay. The next day he comes into work. He gets pulled into the HR office. They say that they need to talk to him. And he's thinking, because he left the mop out and he only sort of half-assed cleaned it up. And he's like, sorry. And they're like, no, we need to understand what you were doing last night. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, I mopped it up. I didn't do a good job, blah, blah, blah. They're like, no. They show him the surveillance video. And he is on floor 4, staring in a trance-like state for 2 hours. And none of that other stuff ever happened. He didn't mop anything. He stood on floor 4 for 2 hours, staring and not moving.
I just got chills. That is so fucking creepy.
Isn't that creepy? I hate it. I hate it
so much.
The only thing worse than that, like seeing other people that way, is seeing yourself that way and not having any recollection that you did that.
I can't. No.
None of that other shit happened. There was no mopping. Mm-hmm.
I fucking hate it. I hate it.
I know. So as soon as you told me they were walking back and forth in a trance-like state, that's like, what is that trending this week? It's so fucking creepy.
That may
Ugh.
very well have been the spooky spooks. That could have been
It could have been the
the
spooky
spirits in
spooks.
their house. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Wow. Okay. Well, thanks for that extra added bonus.
You're
sister.
welcome.
Jesus.
You're welcome.
Guys,
Follow
we're on
us
all
on all the things.
all the things.
Give us
Go
a rating
rate
and
us.
a review. We love it.
Love it. Love it.
Mhm.
Makes our day. I mean, as long as it's a good one. I mean, I don't want a fucking bad one.
No, I don't either. But if we need to improve, then we need to know.
We need to improve. Yeah. We can take notes. We absolutely give us feedback. You can write Amber love letters. You can write me hate mail. They just have to go to the same account. It's crimewineandchaos@gmail.com.
Right.
So, get on that. And sister,
This was so
chaotic.
I love you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Crime, Wine, and Chaos is produced by 8th Direction Records. Artwork by Joshua M. Davis. Music by Paul Abner. If you would like to support the show, you can visit our Patreon page at crimewineandchaos.com/Patreon. Cheers. Oh my gosh. There is a huge smear of lipstick on my mic from when I hit myself in the face with my mic when we first started recording.
Because Amber's been beating on herself with her microphone.
I hit myself in the face. Okay, anyway, God.
Little froggy today.